listening to the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast with your host, Andy Plymer. Bringing you up-to-date coaching concepts from the world of rugby. Sharing ideas to make the game better.
All right, welcome to episode number 67 of the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast. Coming in now is a returning guest. He's the wizard himself, the co-founder of the Magic Academy, formerly of the RFU, and he was a guest earlier in the podcast. It's Russell Earnshaw. How you doing, Rusty?
I'm good, mate. Good to see you. 67 episodes. That's a lot of graft.
Yeah, I've been plugging away, man.
Wow, we're on about 6 or 7, so can only hope of reaching your heights.
Yeah, and yours are great too. We'll talk about that later. About the pod. So I've listened to them all, and there's some great chats on there. The Brian Ashton one was awesome.
Yeah, mate, he's class, isn't he?
Yeah. Total legend.
We infiltrated his house, had tea with Brian and Helen, and just chewed the fat. It was an awesome half a day, if I'm honest. Epic. It was like CPD for me and Fletch. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, great, awesome. And you must be. We're recording this the day after England triumphed against Ireland at the Aviva. What's your takeaway from that game, other than pure joy?
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, I'm going into England this week on Thursday, so that's
right.
It'll be a good place to go in. I think they'll be bouncing. Yeah, I mean, wow, just a real clinical performance, wasn't it? I think we had a pretty decent strategy to deal with their kicking game. I thought our defence was class. Our kick chase was excellent. Yeah. I think it was interesting to see Ireland probably struggling to chase a game at the end. I mean, they were box kicking it out with 6 minutes to go, and I'm thinking, do you guys think you're winning?
Yeah.
So I think they'll learn a lot. I think Ireland will learn a lot, but I also think the impact, the confidence it'll give England will be pretty significant.
Yeah, I thought I think guys like Billy Vunipola being back and Tuolangi, that Farrell Tuolangi Slade combination, if they can keep that healthy, holy hell.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it? Yeah. I just thought when we needed to be physically brutal, we were physically. When we needed, a bit of class, so Slady obviously and Johnny May, and it's just some nice moments in the game where we cut them up as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. So the first big question: do you think they'll win the World Cup, or will they win the World Cup?
I think it's pretty hard to predict who's going to win the World Cup. Look, we're in with a chance. The same as Ireland, New Zealand, probably Wales.
Yeah.
Never bet against South Africa or Australia. Tend to do pretty well in World Cups. They tend to struggle in between, and then suddenly pull some magic out of the bag.
It's true.
I think it's going to be competitive.
Yeah, no, for sure. Cool. So so since we last chat, you've left the RFU and you've started up full time. You're a full time magician. Is that on your resume now? Full time magician.
My daughter is aware that that's who I work for, which is a good start. I've actually got a couple of good magic tricks. That's as far as it goes. So we're full time. Me and Fletch.
Yeah.
Academy doing a bit of stuff individually as well. So it's been amazing, really. Just like, I'll be honest, like completely liberating being your own boss.
Yeah.
At the start, I struggled with it because I've generally had a job and a check goes in at the end of the month and all that kind of stuff. But I've just felt liberated, really. And it's I get to hang with good people. I get to choose what I do. So I tend to be following the energy. So I just had a nice little trip over to your neck of the woods in Canada for a period of time. I've just been to Germany. We're going to where are we going? Singapore and Malaysia. I've got a trip to Russia coming up. So we're just. It's been amazing, really. Lots of people keen to kind of connect and work together, and so I'm living the dream, really.
Cool, awesome. And so for those who aren't aware of the Magic Academy, what is it that you and Fletch do, and what is it that you offer? as a product, you probably hate that word. But what is it that you can put out there?
Yeah, we're probably the two worst salesmen in the world. The product kills me. It's a bit like hearing, the factory, the football factory or the athlete factory or stuff like that.
Cattle.
Yeah, cattle, exactly. Said no one ever.
Yeah.
We started out by, we're doing challenge cards for coaches and for players, and we've done some coach development ones. I guess that would be a tool to help support coaches. We've just got another thing in the pipeline at the moment that I think is gonna have a significant impact. I think it'll have a much bigger impact than they have, which has already been pretty significant. And then I guess we're doing a bit of work with different environments around learning and helping coaches get better, really. So work across a number of domains. Both work with British Hockey. I work a bit with Birmingham City, a bit with Worcestershire Cricket, with ECB Women, a little bit of stuff with Google, a bit of stuff with a ecology firm, Tyler Grange. So lots of different areas, and getting to learn in all those places and share, and seems to be going all right at the moment. Fletcher's the busiest man in the world. So he's doing, I think his family forgot what he looks like. So he's been out and about a lot recently, doing a fair bit of stuff for UK sport as well. So yeah, it's been class, really.
Cool. So if a club, or a union or something like that got you guys in for a weekend, what's it going to look like on the field when you're training up coaches out on the paddock?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be very much dependent on their needs, if I'm honest. So some stuff around working in teams, some stuff around, some of the themes at the moment, probably co-coaching, how you work as coaches, probably some stuff around how you get opportunities to develop yourself. We're probably looking a bit at some of the off-the-ball stuff. So, most of the invasion sports are actually off-the-ball sports. You spend more time off the ball. So stuff around that, probably some stuff around noticing, and then helping support players individually to get better. Guess whatever their needs are, really. Spending different environments. We tend to encounter similar stuff going on. So lots of themes, and I guess we can share some solutions from other worlds.
Yeah, well, that off the ball stuff is great. I had a big focus this year actually on it, where we were looking at the amount of time it took guys to get up off the ground after they've made a tackle, and we had a clicker on it, and we set a standard of what we expected was that you're not lying on the ground, that you're actually back in the game, and we were monitoring that throughout the game, and had really big impact, because it can be quite vague, that work off the ball.
Yeah, I quite like the. I mean, I'm not saying it's 0 or 1. What I am saying is that let's have a discussion around what we're doing off the ball, and is it effective? So sometimes you might get up really slowly to kid someone into coming to you. Now that might be effective. However, I think the reality is off the ball, certainly in attack, what are people doing? Are they engaging defence? Is the end man looking like he's a threat? Is he stretching the defence through going wide? Is he working off his wing to support the ball, a la Chris Ashton?
Oh, yeah, I was just about to mention him. He's one to watch for that stuff. He's brilliant at it.
Yeah, I mean, lots of even, he may not be the person making the line break, but he's an inside support runner, for example, and that creates, confusion for defences, and other, ball players get to go through holes. So, probably just getting people to better understand how they could be more effective off the ball, both, I guess, in attack and in defence.
Cool. And what about, you mentioned the challenge cards there? I haven't got my hands on a pair yet. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But how's that work? If you're looking at using that as in a session, how do you roll that out with coaches, and how can they incorporate that into their sessions?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's once again, they're deliberately probably outcomes so that people can fill in blanks. So the original set had some player and coach challenges in. So how have I seen them used? Well, I've seen players racing to the side of the pitch to get a challenge, to having a go at something else they've never had a go at. So it might be kicking or going for an intercept, and then what a great opportunity for coaches to see someone do something and then reinforce it and say, I bet you can't do another 2 intercepts in the next 5 minutes, or I bet you can't coach someone else. Coach challenge cards, I think, depend very much upon the level of trust between coach and coach, or player and coach. So I've seen lots of coaches who are brave enough for players to pick challenge cards for them.
Yeah.
The players will be very aware of the areas the coaches might need some support with. I've seen Harlequins DPP, for example, where they sit round and they pick and choose them for each other based upon their needs. The latest set are really almost like a coach development set, although I kind of sell them as the 100 and odd mistakes I've made over the last 20 years.
That's great.
So lots of, exploring different ways of giving feedback. I always thought there was only one way. Exploring different ways of having huddles. Clearly, there's lots of stuff that has tradition. So we divided it up into like prime time. So that's essentially a meeting, but be some, for example, reduce your slides by 50%. Meeting has to last 9 minutes max. Stand in a different place. And they're really just about maybe perturbing people slightly and getting them to go, oh, okay, I noticed this. So it might be that in a game, if you stand in a different place and you stand at the end towards which your team's playing, you have a different experience to standing on the sideline surrounded by all the parents. So they're really a little bit of a disruption, a little bit of a nudge. And I think the art then is to how you reflect upon them and how you take what you've learned and incorporate it into your coaching, because I wouldn't want anyone to coach exactly the same as me or exactly the same as you. I would want them to be themselves and coach to their own strengths. There's one card that have a positive interaction with every player, which I think would and should be a norm. However, I'm aware that it was given to a coach, and because he was so not like him, I think some of the feedback from players was a little bit creepy. So I can't tell you that it's all going to be successful. However, that's feedback, and maybe it's just that we start gently, and actually it's we maybe focus on the 2 or 3 kids that need our support the most, or the 2 and 3 kids that we don't tend to hang out with as much as we possibly should.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of disruption, a little bit of gentle, friendly disruption for coaches.
Cool. And coaches looking to get their hands on them, the Magic Academy website is the best spot to check out? Yeah,
so www.themagicacademy.co.uk, and they're in there, and you can get a beanie hat with Beat the Game on, and you can go mental with a beanie hat and a set of cards.
You should be calling them toques now after being in Canada, no?
Toques, I know, mate. Well done. Yeah, I was given a few toques in Canada, and well done. Good. I've forgotten the word already. I need to use it again.
Yeah. Well, good segue then. You talk to us about your time in Canada. You just spent a week or so over in BC and Alberta, working with those provincial unions. What did that look like, and what were those experiences like? And when are you moving here?
Wow, yeah, well, in a heartbeat, if I'm honest. If I could afford to live in Vancouver,
not wrong.
It's really expensive.
Yeah.
So really, Tony Lecart just messaged me. He's been a bit of a, he's been involved in Magic Academy over a few years, and we'd speak a bit on Twitter and share ideas, and as you do. Yeah, top man, good guy. And he just said, look, would you come over? Then I was coming over, and then Graham Moffat over in Alberta said, look, could you kind of fit us in as well? So we did 4 days in BC. We did a conference and a bit of other stuff, and then came over to Alberta, spent a bit of time in Edmonton, a bit of time in Calgary. It was -20.
That's spring, mate. Spring.
It's a coach development day on the gondolas in Lake Louise. All my dreams came true in one day. It was class. I mean, some of my take homes, I guess. There's a lot more female coaches in Canada than England.
Yeah.
More female coaches day one than I've met in 10 years in England.
That's great.
Brilliant. The other thing that I loved was I would be very much about, look, let's start the coaching and then let's involve other people. Let's get a bit of co-coaching going on. And so I would go, look, who wants to go? And we'll have a little skill zone here. Who's interested in coaching it? And everyone's hand goes up. I then say, oh, I'm going to join in. I need to get my steps up. So does anyone lead the game and practice some of their house skills? And same again, a whole load of hands go up. So I think that's, I was just excited by how people were willing and wanting to learn so much and actually to be vulnerable. So, two people coached, a bit of stuff around the scrum and line out, and, there was 70 odd people watching them. That's brave.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
It was a great time, really. Just loved it. I'm planning on coming back in June for your Canada conference, and then maybe coming to stay with you in July, because I've just got my dates for the trip to Maine as well. So we'll sort the road trip out.
Well, we're doing this interview in the man cave downstairs, so I'll give you a tour once we're finished.
Yeah,
a virtual tour.
I lived in Moff's man cave for a period of time. They're sizable, aren't they? The man cave.
No, they're big. They're big. It's great. Cool. That's awesome. And isn't that great? Like, I think we've all had those experiences at coaching conferences where you just do a quick scan of the crowd and like 80% of them have got their arms crossed and, not really, you don't feel that they're really throwing themselves into that. So to hear that, that's great feedback.
Yeah. And the other thing I loved was Henry Paul was there and Damien McGrath. So, there's two guys who are coaching at the top end of the game and obviously big years ahead of them with World Cup and with World Series, and both there in the mix with coaches, running real good sessions, chewing the fat over food. I just think, I just love that. I mean, just felt like a real good community of, a real good learning community to be part of.
No, that's great. Yeah, and they've worked hard over there in BC and Alberta. I know Moss been doing a bunch to really drive the standards of coaching there, and Tony's predecessor, Dean Merton, had been in there for a while, and he'd been working really hard on that stuff too. And Tony's coming in and upping that as well. So yeah, two great provinces leading the way for a lot of that PD.
Especially considering the geography of your country.
Yeah.
So your challenge, the challenge in England is, that Newcastle's quite far away. So I might go and get to see Aidan McNulty only a couple of times a year. Well, Newcastle's relatively close by Alberta standards.
Exactly.
Fair play to Moff, because he's getting out there, he's hanging with coaches, he's organising stuff. People are, meeting up, and we did a lot of cross-sport stuff. So up at the university, we had all kinds of different sports, and then we went in to spend time at a school. Same again, people from basketball and football and ice hockey and field hockey, and just kind of sharing problems and solutions. And it was it was pretty special time, really.
It's great. All right, cool. So for coaches out there who, are wanting to explore kind of philosophies that are parallel to what you guys are doing at the Magic Academy, what's your advice to them if with, encountering resistance from, the old guard at their club, or from often I've found it from senior players more than the younger guys and girls. Like, what's your advice to that?
Understand which bus stop you're picking them up from. Think that, you might take them a little bit away down the road rather than all the way. Sometimes, I would have, you might only have one opportunity with someone, so I might go in all guns blazing at that stage, but that would be rare. I think building rapport, getting to understand why they think like they do, and then just nudging them a bit gently would be my view. Often using the players, so, and clearly the other thing that works is success. So we've got some players over here and coaches who've had real success with, coaching through games, through maybe not being quite as rigid in their structures, by coaching a bit more of the unstructured parts of the game. And so that success then kind of people then maybe change their mind a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's different for every coach, and I think you've also got to realise that some you won't win. Some
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
most frustrated coaches I speak to are forwards coaches who are assistant coaches. So if your head coach thinks like this and you don't, if your forwards think like this and you don't, then it can be a challenge. I really like Ed Robinson's done some good work. So Ed's gone to Jersey. He was involved at Bristol Academy a bit, and then he went up to Rotherham, and he's just been at Jersey this year and really opened up how they play the game. And he told me a story of about 3 games. They'd lost their first 3 games of the season. And Harvey Biljon, who's the head coach, called him in, and he was like going, "Oh my God, we're gonna go back to how it used to be." And Harvey said, "We need to do what we're doing harder."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is like, wow. And he rang me just after that, and he was like, "That's pretty exciting." And I mean, they do really well in the league. They're probably the team that are certainly punching above their financial weight at the moment. And they recently won the Sky Sports Try of the Year, so it's worth it's worth a look. They beat all the Super Rugby tries. And
I think I saw it actually. Yeah.
So and you would speak to Ed, and he would say, "Well, that's just what training looks like." So yeah, we're gradually and clearly as a group of, I think there's probably been 7, 8, 9, 10 years of players coming through who starting to be coached like this, and that's definitely influencing environments. So you can see how, selecting Slade or how Farrell plays are having a influence on how England play. They're definitely influencing the coaches.
Yeah, I find that too. I find the kids, the adults, up until guys our age who still play, the rest are on board. Like they love it. They embrace it. It's a totally new style of training environment for them, and that's never an issue. It's and I think it's different here too in somewhere like Canada compared to England, where it's like it's not the main sport here. So I'd be interested to see some hockey environments, ice hockey environments. Where
I met an NHL player when I was over there.
Oh yeah, who was it?
I can't remember his name, and I don't want to get him in trouble. But I did ask him what's coaching like in the NHL. He said about 10 years behind everyone else.
Wow, yeah, isn't that incredible? Yeah.
One of the things I noticed in rugby over there, so I obviously watched a few sessions, and they were class. So I watched a great session with Alana up in Edmonton. If you're third, fourth, fifth choice sport, then you've got to give the kids a pretty good time, because they've had some pretty poor experiences if they've been rejected by a few others before it.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the kind of the movement around, let's just give kids a brilliant experience. Let's get them to tell other kids about that experience. Let's get their parents to want to tell other parents about rugby, because then we can grow our game. So I really enjoyed that kind of mindset over there.
Yeah.
Clearly the other sports probably have it pretty easy, so they can get away with, what they've got away with, essentially.
Yeah. And I think that goes for senior club as well. Like, a lot of people make this distinction that, okay, they're now out of school and they're playing senior club. It's got to be, I'm the other way around. Like, I want it to be I want the Tuesday night session to be their funnest experience that week. I don't want them dragging themselves to practice,
Yeah. They got to work for the rest of the week.
Yeah, exactly.
That may not be that exciting.
Yeah.
And why not? So once again, lots of coaches over here having real success at senior level, and as that starts to take hold, then hopefully the game will change, and some of the people that see the game being played a certain way, they may adapt as well.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's we'll talk a little bit about your podcast. What was the goal of starting that up, and what's been some of the real highlights of the conversations you've had with your guests so far?
Well, as you can tell, me and Fletch aren't that organised, so we're not doing a regular one. We did about 5 in September, and I've already done 2 this month, so doing 1 tomorrow. It was really just to have some conversations with people I felt would have impact upon coaching. Yeah. So We just did one with Richard Cheetham, who was recently UK Coach Developer of the Year.
Yeah.
Top man, legend.
Yeah,
obviously,
absolutely.
done a bit of stuff over in Canada.
Yeah.
Doesn't realise what a legend he is. That's what I love about him. Did one yesterday with Nick Wilkinson, who's got a real good story around, how he lost his job and then he's found coaching and he's now full-time coaching and he's doing a real good job. And we're doing one tomorrow with Richard Shorter around parent stuff. So I guess lots of stories we felt would resonate with coaches. The first one we did was with Dean Clark. Now, Dean has got a brain the size of a planet, so even I was struggling with that one. But some of the, we get really you get the most random feedback. So I got a email off a guy who's working in with challenging Aboriginal communities in the middle of Australia. He just said, "Look, I listened to your podcast, gave me real clarity on a couple of things, and it's changed my world." And I'm thinking, "Wow, you never think it's going to have that impact." And I'm sure you're the same. I'm sure you get lots of people that kind of give you good feedback that you just didn't expect, really. So I think it's CPD for us as well. We get to learn stuff, I guess, and we share some stuff with coaches.
Yeah, I got a great email last week actually from a bloke in the UK saying just saying thanks for doing the pod and how it's inspired him to get back into coaching and also helped him out in the workplace as well, which I thought was pretty cool. He does some management and coaching in the business world, and he's been applying some of the stuff he's learnt from the pod in his workplace. So I thought that was 10%. Awesome.
You get 10%, don't you?
It's got to, surely.
Interestingly, I was just in Germany, and obviously over there, not many people are full-time coaches over there. So when we started to kind of go, well, what was the stuff that resonated? People were saying, I need to change this with my business and I need to do this. And the guy who's head of Huddle for Europe said, I've been managing my people terribly. I need to do this. And so I was thinking, 10% would be nice. I mean, it's all, you would experience it. It's all about people. So it very rarely comes down to the X's and O's, people's problems or their successes. It's always about people and how can you support them and get the best out of them and how can you stretch your best and how do you help other people come through and develop and how do you deal with that person who's a real problem. I mean, that's generally what I'm hearing from coaches.
Yeah, cool, awesome. All right, and what about the Six Nations? What are your hopes and dreams of what we're going to see there as fans?
I want to see some rugby that inspires, if I'm honest. I think we saw glimpses of that. I think we saw half of it from France.
Yeah, absolutely. In the wet, still offloading 3 or 4 times in a phase. I love it.
Yeah, they're really direct and very French, and clearly a very French second half as well. So,
of course,
throw it away. And to be fair, Wales, some strong moments. I love the way Scotland play. Scotland don't necessarily have the firepower of some of the other teams in terms of the physical players, so they've got to be a little bit more creative in how they play the game. So I really enjoyed some of the stuff I saw from them as well. Italy were, I think they could. I think they probably need to think a little bit about how they're going to compete against the top teams. I'm not sure they can do that by playing at a percentage of what the top teams do. And I think England, with confidence behind them, and we'll go from strength to strength.
Yeah. I thought Italy, when they decided to play, they played 10 minutes at the end there. That was bloody red hot rugby, and if they can reproduce a bit more of that, that would be promising.
Yeah, and you probably got to ask yourself the question of why they weren't playing like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's often game plans and strategies, and we think Scotland will do this, and then last 10 minutes chasing game was probably the best bit of the game.
So it was some great rugby. They were playing against 14, but still, that was how I'd like to see it played.
Yeah, I think you've got to be brave if you're Italy. You've got to go. We're gonna try and score some tries.
Yeah, agree. All right. Well, last thing before the final 4 questions. I saw you got into a bit of a Twitter, not a Twitter row, but you commented on a post on Twitter last week where a rugby club for, I don't know, it was under 13s or something like that, promoting their great day of beating another team 105-5, and they tagged the other team in the tweet, and you jumped on it. Talk us a bit through that, and why do you have a strong opinion about those kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I was actually pretty agitated. I was relatively calm. I thought I like the fact that it's now it's not the norm. So lots of people would go, hang on, have you thought about the consequences of this? So I mean, there was no conversion, so it was 20 tries to 1 in a 40-minute game. It's a try every 2 minutes. I'm not sure how I'd feel if I was on the losing team, and I'm definitely thinking there could have been some way of playing a bit better. So maybe we take the best players from the team, and they get to support the other players, and they get a bit of extra challenge. Or maybe we score the game differently, or maybe we think about giving one team extra players, or setting some individual challenges for players, or moving their positions around with the intent of actually everyone having probably a better learning experience. And it's the kids that drop out of the game in a month, 6 months, a year's time that we don't hear about. It was interesting. I was chatting to a guy in New Zealand the other week, and he was talking about of the kids that play rugby at 13 in New Zealand, it's about 10% go on to senior rugby, and we have some significant drop-offs, as would you, around certain ages. So 16 to 18 is quite a challenging time, as is about 14. So stuff that's going to accelerate them leaving the game, probably we need to avoid. And I definitely wouldn't be shouting about it on Twitter like I'd won the World Cup final. There's actually regulation in England around it. So once the game goes beyond 50, it should be stopped, or clearly before it gets to 50, there should have been some attempts to even it up. From what I've heard, I spoke to the RFU about it, and they're going to go in and do a bit of work with the coaches and help support them, and that's. So I actually think it's a pretty cool outcome that people go, hang on, this isn't a good learning experience, and the RFU step in and help support that club. So I think that stuff's getting phased out. I think we've had a lot of coaches that have almost gone through the kids first stuff for several years now, and it's quite normal to be focused on making games competitive rather than it being about competition. But there's clearly still a few exceptions, and I think we're definitely on the right track.
Yeah, just got to keep fighting the good fight, eh?
Hopefully.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, you've been on the pod before, so I'm not going to roll out the same final 4 questions we usually do. So I got a bit of a rusty special for you. I threw it together, and we'll see how it goes. First one, favorite teacher as a kid, and why?
Oh, wow. God, my memory's so bad, but I'm going to say, and my wife kills me for my memory, so I had a couple of science teachers. I had Mr. Makin, who was a physics teacher, and I had a chemistry teacher. And I think they just made it fun, so they were throwing sodium in water, and I think they were getting mercury out when you shouldn't have been getting mercury out. I remember having one teacher though that scared the living bejesus out of me. So Mr. C, who taught history, and I remember going back to to collect something a couple of years afterwards, and still calling him sir and being very. We'd sit in class in silence, and then he'd go, and people would literally jump. So yeah, I think my science teachers, and I mean, my son's just gone through it. He's just picked subjects. He's just picked teachers, not subjects. And I did sciences at A level, and those guys definitely had impact on me.
That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, and often it's not the stuff they're teaching you, but it's just like coaching, right? It's the relationships or the funny little moments you remember.
So Mr. Preston coached a bit of rugby, but also did woodwork. But I was so bad at woodwork. So I remember trying to make a shelf, and it just turned out into a name plaque. So I think I enjoyed Mr. Preston, but probably because I was so incompetent at woodwork, probably didn't get a mention.
Yeah, sweet. All right, and sticking with the childhood theme, what were some of the funnest things you used to do with your mates as a kid?
I just don't know if it exists anymore. That you build dens and you collect mud balls and you use a stick as a gun and the opposition hide over the other, distance, and maybe climb trees as a lookout. And I'm just not sure it exists anymore.
Yeah, like playing war or something like that. We used to call that.
All the time, and having dens and little stashes, and it was, I'm just not so sure really. I think our kids sometimes climb trees in the park, and I think, God, I must have climbed a lot of trees when I was young, or maybe there was just more trees.
Yeah. or less iPhones.
Yeah, the other thing I did loads of actually, because outside our house was a hill, so I just played one-on-one with my brother for ages. Like I would generally always be up the hill because I was 2 years older, and probably perfecting my chip kick that I was never allowed to use because I was a forward. So we did lots of one-on-one in the street that maybe helped me be okay at rugby, I guess.
Cool, sweet. All right, and third one, a bit more current day now. How does being a parent help you be a better coach?
Well, I say it a lot, but I'm not saying you have to have kids, but I definitely think it helps.
Yeah.
Just being patient and understanding. My litmus test would always be: would I want that person to coach my kids? Actually, what's going through that kid's mind is almost impossible to know. So I'm always trying to do my best, and clearly I don't always get it right to coach kids as I would my own. So getting to understand them, getting to connect with them, trying to find out what their strengths are, trying to support them as best I can and stretch them where I can. I guess has a huge impact. You probably become a little less selfish as well, brutally honest. And you start to think of others, which is, my biases would say that in order to be a good coach, you've got to care about people. And that's not all necessarily pink and fluffy. That's actually, I care about you and I'm giving you this feedback around your behavior at the moment. So that's not a everything's, rosy. That's also, telling people when they need to be told.
Yeah, right on. Cool. And the last one, you're crossing over into a bunch of different sports now. What's a sport that you haven't been involved in or coached in or helped coaches in that you'd really like to get your hand in?
We're just starting to do a little bit of stuff with shooting. So trying to get I coach a lot of team sports. So actually, what is essentially an individual sport, certainly the guys we're speaking to, is fascinating. So I probably would, I'm trying to spend a bit of time with kicking coaches and trying to better understand, what that looks like on a one-to-one coaching level. Often I'm coaching in teams, so I think the area I would definitely need to improve would be that. I'm excited about that because once again, it's something I just don't know anything about. So we went to a really nice shooting place with the Olympic coaches and did some shooting, and it turned out me and Fletcher better at shooting than we thought we would be. And so we're going to embark upon, doing a little bit of stuff with those guys. So yeah, I'm pumped for that, if I'm honest.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. All right, Rusty. Well, it's been great having you on the show again, and there's been a bit of water under the bridge since the last episode, and it's exciting to see how the Magic Academy's moving forward. And great that you had a great experience out here in Canada, and hope to catch you in the summer when you're on your way out here again.
Well, mate, I'm looking forward to it. Make sure the man cave's all sorted for us.
It will be. It'll be spot on, and the fridge will be stocked up too.
Beautiful.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, dude.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Rugby Coaches Corner podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a review via iTunes and keep listening for the next episode. You can also follow us via Twitter at Rugby Coaches CNR or via the website therugbycoachescorner.com. Until next time, keep sharing ideas to make the game better.